situation leaving the site right now and wanted to give driving while giving my opinion piece because people have been liking these and I've been turning them actually into articles on LinkedIn. So if you're not subscribed to my LinkedIn newsletter, it's called Investigator's Brochure. I'm really proud of that. And I snagged up the domain name. I'm just sitting on it, investigatorsbrochure.com. Can you believe it was available for like nothing? I had to humble brag there real quick. My opinion on tech, artificial intelligence, and site centricity. So I talked to a couple VC people this week actually, and I'm on different advisory boards for startups, so I'm actually interested in this stuff. And it's interesting because there are certain verticals in this space, and when I talk about this space, I mean site centricity. So, what is site centricity? It's making tools that sites like. It's making tools that sites are actually going to use, that sponsors are not forcing sites to use. Sites just would want to use these tools for themselves, either as free products, where the tech companies can either sell the user base basically, or sell the service to the sponsor by saying, hey, sites love us for doing XYZ, pay us for it, or sometimes charging the sites for it. So that the two good examples here are like Inato's free for sites and will be. I'm not actually an owner of Inato. I wish I was, but I talk to executive leadership regularly, and their intent is never, shout out to Liz Beatty by the way, never to charge sites for anything. But they're a viable business because they're getting sponsors to pay for value, meaning matchmaking, reducing startup timelines, and other stuff. The other example is Creo, another site-centric tool, but sites pay for it. But sites could get it reimbursed through sponsors if they're savvy on collecting startup fees or negotiating their budgets for, like Chris does for us, for Yuma Clinical Trials. We use Creo, but we typically get some kind of e-source fee reimbursed. So yes, we're paying for it, but indirectly. Now, there's various verticals that are being serviced heavily. So biz dev, meaning helping sites get studies, patient recruitment, e-source, e-reg. There's a few verticals. There's two in particular that are not meeting the needs of sites. Sites would either pay for it themselves if it was a good product, or even better, if it's free for sites and a sponsor would pay for it. The first one is definitely in the contracts and budgets realm. Having a tool that can help sites negotiate budgets better, because right now this is a very human intensive activity. Chris Sauber is doing it for our site network. You have certain people whose brains we cannot clone, we cannot automate, we cannot make an AI from Chris Sauber's brain. That would be a really good business if we could. We're not able to do that yet. It's not part of the capability. But negotiating contracts or budgets. So if you think about Darshan Kulkarni, shout out to Darshan. We're going to do a Fraud Pod episode soon, Darshan. He's a contract master. I mean, he'll go through a contract that a site gets. He can make it either site-friendly or sponsor-friendly, depending on who he's representing. And I think this leads us to the problem of why no one's innovated in this space. Who's going to pay for it? Sites are a notoriously difficult market to get to pay for things. Now, they would probably pay for budgets. And I don't say probably. I know for a fact they pay. In our site network, besides helping them get studies and things like that, we negotiate their budgets for them. Even if we don't get the study for them, we negotiate their budget. But we negotiate, obviously, a very site-friendly budget. We're not negotiating on behalf of the sponsor or the CRO. So it's hard to fathom that a sponsor would pay for this unless the budget is created in a way, the contract and budget's created in a way where both the site and the sponsor are happy with it, and it reduces the negotiation timelines from typically 4 weeks to like instantaneous. That would be amazing. I see no innovation here, and I give the reasons as to why. The other place where there's no innovation is protocol compliance. So yes, there are tools like Creo that make it easier to manually do quality assurance, quality control checks for your QA, QC people at your site, but there's no way to passively get QA, QC done, especially like this is such a broad topic. So if we narrow it down to what's the most important part of QA, QC, it's really inclusion-exclusion criteria, in my opinion. Are we randomizing the patients properly? Right? Is everyone that we're randomizing actually qualified? Because those are huge deviations. Then you get into other safety issues like protocol compliance with safety, but if we could at least focus on just inclusion-exclusion criteria and figure out a way to tie this in to pre-screening. Figure out a way to tie this in, because there's a lot of innovation happening on the patient recruitment front. There's a lot of innovation happening with companies. Another company I'm on the board of, Select IQ. Shout out to Jason and Ethan from Select IQ. In the EHR, EMR, using AI to kind of pre-screen certain patients from the medical clinic's private practice, and training the AI on the inclusion-exclusion criteria for a study in order to select patients. This is the innovation from the recruitment side. Perhaps there's something here that we could morph into a protocol compliance tool and maybe bundle it together. Because sites would pay for this if it worked, I think, but I think sponsors would actually pay for this. Unlike the budget and contract one, where it's kind of a conflict of interest, well, who's the AI actually serving? In this case, both stakeholders want the same outcome when it comes to compliance. Both stakeholders want to find appropriate patients, and the stakeholders are sponsors and sites, by the way. Both want appropriate patients, and both want to make sure that they actually qualify for the study. This is a place where I think this might be the next phase. Once we're able to do that, we can then get into using AI for quality assurance. Instead of having a human being do QA checks, you can have an AI do QA checks on a study. That's my wish list. That's on these two items are on my wish list. I'm going to talk to a few people in this space about maybe being able to pull some of these things off. I know it's not a novel idea. There's probably others thinking along the same lines. But this is my rationale as to why there's been a lot of innovation on the site-centric side for patient recruitment, as well as business development, meaning getting studies. And there hasn't been so much on the contracts and budgets or on the protocol compliance side. Then later we can get into other things on the wish list, like coordinator training tool. I mean, we have CRC Academy, but again, it's not automated. It's human beings teaching it. This is what I'm interested in these days, Guru Nation. Let me know your thoughts on this, and like, subscribe, comment, share. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you subscribe to my LinkedIn newsletter, Investigators Brochure, where it's just the written version of my opinion pieces, where it's just me, unfiltered, talking about these kind of things. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Bye-bye.